Good morning. I didn't know if we was on or not. We've had some problems getting the equipment hooked up this morning, but welcome to the Gospel according to, and I'm going to explain this in a minute, Billy Ray Kinison. And I am your illustrious host, Billy Ray. And the reason I'm saying that is that a very, very good friend and a tremendous comedian, Argus Hamilton, has commented 2 or 3 times to me, I really need to do Billy Ray. That's more marketable. So Argus, which I'm sure you're watching today, this is for you from Billy Ray Kinison.
Good morning, Jim Wilson.
Well, welcome to the show, Jim Wilson.
Marcus Meyer.
Marcus Meyer.
Misty
Man,
Soper.
I haven't seen Marcus Meyer in a long time.
And of course, Misty Soper.
Misty, Sherry, it's a good thing she lives in Oregon.
Yes.
Because that might be a problem in our relationship.
Oh,
I love her so much.
Move to San Antonio, Misty. Jerry Nicholson.
Jerry. I know always count on Jerry. He's a great support to us.
Valerie Jasso. Oh my gosh, those pictures you've been posting of you are fabulous.
You know, I also think I'm in love with Valerie also.
Good morning.
And they are fantastic. She's a fantastic woman, but those pictures are... And she had this red dress. I don't know where she got this thing at.
It was beautiful.
Man, it whatever you call it, went for like 10 feet. But anyhow, just beautiful, beautiful.
And who do Buddy?
Buddy Bertino?
Yeah, Buddy Bertino.
Yeah. I'm glad to have him.
And Craig, I'm sorry.
Sherry, can you... Here.
I don't have my glasses on, but
Well,
I'll
here,
go get them.
Come over here, I'll pray for your eyes.
Go ahead.
But Craig from Rockford, I believe it is, or Peoria.
This is Craig Lundgren, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, well, then welcome to the show, Craig.
Jack Friedman, of course.
Can't do
Joe
it without
Sumter,
Jack.
I thought you were at Canyon Lake right by us this morning.
Is he or not?
No.
Oh, well, there's so much for Joe. Here, I was all excited, thought I'd see him this afternoon.
And we still have our Christmas tree up because we've been doing...
Well, we've
been doing funerals the whole month of December.
Yeah, I've turned into a funeral speaker, I believe. And we were there in Dallas, Texas. And I don't know, I guess you call it laying to rest the remains of Bishop Jerry Skelton, a very, very, very close friend, and his family. And I really went to see his family. Fern, Sherry told me, and Fern agreed that Fern taught Sherry how to shop and how to buy the right makeup when we were young and just met them. Sherry, for several years, they were probably our closest friends, Jerry and Fern, in the ministry.
It's been over 40 years.
And she's still as beautiful as always, as classy as always, and their daughter, Angel, and their son, Jay, who we have watched grow up.
Yeah.
We literally watched him grow up, and then Jay did a fantastic job speaking at the funeral and emceeing the night before at the visitation, and the entire family. His brother Larry Skelton, which actually we preached for before we preached for Jerry, and he said, "You need to preach for Brother Jerry. This church too dead." And well, I'm just repeating what he told me. And then his son Don, which is also a tremendous preacher, and I'll give them this one little note for you that are aware of who T.D. Jake is. And one of the best speakers I probably have ever listened to, and I hold him in the highest respect. And he came and showed his respects during the visitation. He was leaving, going up the aisle. He stopped and shook my hand. And so I thought, well, I should probably tell him who I am. And I said, "I'm Bill Kinison." He said, "I know who you are." He said, I've seen you on Facebook, and you're Sam Kinison's brother." And I said, yes, that is me. And you're very, very nice, Sherry. I could not, but that Sherry about leaped out of the pew. When she saw him coming up the aisle, she goes, "That's T.D. Jake, that's T.D. Jake."
I'm the one who listens to him.
I know, well, I do when I get a chance.
Yes.
But very, 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 very good. And then we had the other side of the coin. We had few preachers that, well, Sherry's shaking her head no, but Sherry, I'm very transparent. And there were a few preachers that we knew when we were back in the day, and I guess they haven't got over me managing Sam yet. And one that we knew very well actually acts like he never knew me. And I ain't talking about ignore me. He literally act like he did not know who I was, and I thought, that's all right. That doesn't bother me at all. That doesn't bother me at all. But we had a great time. We got to have lunch with our former organist and his beautiful wife, Gary and Crystal Chris. And that was in Peoria, Illinois. And we have remained close friends all these years. We haven't seen each other for about 2 or 3 years. But as soon as we sat down to have a bite to eat, it was like we'd never been apart. And they're really like family to us. And so that was our trip to the service. And sadly, we had to leave in about the middle of the service. We was there for over 2 hours, and I realized they're going to go another 2 hours, and we still had to come back to San Antonio, so we had to leave. But we're so happy to see the Skelton family. Just it was so happy because we'd had so many ties with them. Anyway, speaking about death and funerals, as we were driving, probably the greatest thing I heard came from the lips of my beautiful wife, Sherry. And we were talking, and she said that one of the last things that Betty White said in her book. And so she looked it up for me. I'm going to read just the last part of it. And she said, I don't get depressed as the number climbs, talking about death. I don't get depressed as the number climbs. Perhaps I don't fear death. I'm quoting my mother, but her take on the subject I thought was great. She said, we know so much, and I want you to pay attention to these words. We know so much and can discover so much more, but what no one knows for sure is exactly what happens when we pass on. When we lose someone, we would grieve, but she would always say, now he knows the secret. And Sherry, I thought that was the best thing I heard the entire weekend. Now he knows the secret. And it was almost like stepping back in time and listening to some of these preachers. And I'm not criticizing them, belittling them, but I did say to Sherry as we were coming home, do they listen to what they say? Or have they said it so many times that it's like a computer? It just automatically comes out. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. I hate losing Jerry Skelton in the flesh. I hate losing Sherry's mother and my mother-in-law in the flesh. I hate losing my cousin or Sherry's nephew in the flesh. But I got to tell you that I think the older I get and the more that I look into things, the least amount of fear and death that I'm not that afraid. I'm not that afraid. I really believe. And here's what the scripture says. Forget about your toes walking in the streets of gold and your pearly white mansion. I hope I'm not upsetting anyone, but just forget about that. Somebody said, but that's where I'm going to go. Well, not necessarily. The Bible said, eye hath not seen. You have never seen this. Ear hath not heard. No one can tell you how wonderful it is. And it's never entered into the heart of man. In other words, you can't even imagine what the next level of our existence is. Now that says it pretty plain. I can't make it any plainer than that. We do want to remember a few folks in prayer today. The Skelton family. We want to remember them in prayer. And I don't want to leave out his wife, Pastor Tammy. And also, Sherry's aunt and cousin, Dorothy and Pauline, both need... Paulette. God, I got your mother on my mind. Well, Paulette was named after, actually, Pauline.
Mom named Paulette.
Named Paulette. But Dorothy has kind of taken a dive mentally since her sister passed, and Dorothy's 92 years old, I believe it is, isn't it, Sherry? And Paulette has always been a person that takes care of everybody else. And she is going to lose that finger that we have joked about. It's not funny now, but she's going to lose that finger. But we need God to touch both Dorothy and Paulette and work out their situation. Also, very, very, very close friend, Jack Herman and his wife Karen. I believe she has COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
She's doing better. She's doing good.
Yeah, she's doing better, but we still want to remember her in prayer. And then Jack's brother,
he's doing bad,
is serious enough that they said call in the family. So we want to pray for Jack's brother and for Karen, his beautiful wife. And then a very, very, very close friend of Sharon and I, Holly Gleason. A former fiance is in serious, serious condition. And we need to hold him up in prayer and ask God to heal him, to give him a healing. And we do pray for these folks. I don't just say that to you. Sharon and I do pray for them. We're like Dean Martin and his wife. You know, we read every letter. No, we seriously do. I want to get into our lesson for a little bit, and we are a little late because of the technical problems that we had. So I think I should probably go 20 minutes longer, Sherry, than usual.
They might stay and listen.
Oh, they would.
Okay.
They would. I'm their illustrious host.
Okay.
Anyhow, this message that we teach, and I want to share for you before you even move. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you something. We were in a church that was packed. Forget about COVID. They didn't seem to be worried about it.
They were all very respectful, though. The majority had masks.
Yeah, but I mean, we were still jammed in there.
Yes.
Like, well, we didn't. We were sitting over on the side, and I thought, because we preached for Reverend Skelton many times, and we actually had one lady that came up from his first church, which had to be, we were in our 20s. That had to be close to 50 years ago.
45, yeah.
Yeah, 45, 50 years ago, and she come up and goes, your name is Kinison.
You're the crazy Kinison.
Yeah, that was it. You're the crazy Kinison. And want to take pictures and everything. But what I want to say is, and I'm not saying those aren't our people, but Sherry, the people on this program, they are our people.
Yes.
This is, I think God sends people to different people. We have, last time we knew, we were over 3,000 that watch us. This is our people. I made a pledge when I first started teaching on this program, and every politician says the same thing. I'll be transparent. I do try to be transparent. I know that every once in a while I'm going to say something that each one of you are going to go, well, I don't know if I believe that. And that's fine. That's fine. Because God opens your ears to hear what he wants you to hear. But you're our people. We love you like our family. And this message, and I've said this several times, this message that we teach is for the down and outers. It's for what I call the valley dwellers. And for the one that never seems to reach the mountaintop. This is not a message for people that think they're super spiritual, that think they're extremely religious. And it's not for the hypocrites. It's not for those that put on a show. This is for those, I really feel, that are chosen to hear this message to improve their life. I really believe that. Many are called, and you're going to have churches this morning everywhere with thousands and thousands of people. Many are called. A few are chosen. That God so, and if you look down, you know each one of you, you know you're special. When I say special, you know you're not like everybody else. There's something about you. I'm going to tell you what it is. You're chosen. You're chosen. Let me read one scripture for you. Numbers 13:33. And we were in our own sight. This is when they sent out the spies to go spy out the promised land. That they've been going around in a circle, about like religious churches. They've been going around in a circle, but they've been going around this circle for 40 years. They finally get up the nerve to send spies to see what this promised land was like. 10 of the 12 spies came back, and their report was, we are in our own sight, and I want you to see exactly how they phrased it. We are in our own sight as grasshoppers, because there was giants. And so we were in their sight. First, they looked at themselves as grasshoppers compared to them. And once they did that, what I always thought was amazing, they never had any confrontation there. They snuck in, spied out the land, and they came back. But somehow they knew that if they looked like grasshoppers in their own sight, they were like grasshoppers in their sight. Now, if you're going to call yourself a grasshopper, don't expect me or anyone else to come along and call you an elephant. What you confess is what you are. Man, this is so good. What you confess is what you are. And what you confess is what you get. Very simple. This is not a complicated message. You see, God's not looking for a bunch of cowards. And that's what religious people have been. Just cowards. He's looking for a bunch of folks that have strength like a horse, knowing that the God in them is not going to forsake them. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, the God in you is still going to be right there with you. And the God in you is going to see you through. Somebody said, well, how do I get this God in you? You don't get it. It is you. You are created in God's image. And you're created in His likeness. And throughout this Bible, He says, you are my temple. That's where my throne is. People keep looking out in the sky for God. Why don't they just look inside? That's where the God in you lives. You see, when you know your position in God, then you don't have anything to worry about. But you still have to realize the God in you. Somebody said, well, where do I get saved? Where do I confess? That's not my message. This is for every single person that comes to the knowledge of who they really are. Romans 14:7 says this, for none of us liveth to himself. No one. You might think you do. You don't. And no man dieth to himself. Now let me give you a great statement. It's an utter impossibility to lead people exactly as you have found them. It's impossible. You will either add something to their life, or you will subtract something from their life. Whatever it is, they will never be the same again, good or bad. But they're never going to be the same again after being around you. My father very simply told me when I grew up, he said, I want you to know, be careful the friends that you pick, because they will either add to you or they will take something away from you. And that's exactly what I'm telling you in a different way. Probably his way was a lot better, a lot simpler. You see, you contribute something to everyone you meet. Everyone. You contribute something. And you can only contribute what you have. You can't make it up. It's what you have, no more and no less. Let me give you a little story. And it was Peter. And he went by the temple, and there was a lame man there crying out, alms for the poor. Alms for the poor. And Peter, which were like the rest of the disciples, they never carried money, except for Judas, he was the treasurer. They never carried money. And so this beggar reaches out to Peter with his cup and says, alms for the poor. And Peter said, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I unto you. Take up your bed and walk. Man, such as I have, what do you have? You have the God in you. You are a continuing ministry. Oh, man, I'm getting excited here this morning. You see, you are God's representative. You are. If you represent the God in you as you should, you will draw all men unto you. And they will help you be successful. They will help you be wealthy. They will help you with the desires of your heart if you represent the God in you the way that you should. See, the world doesn't know the God in them. They only know those who claim to represent God. I remember when we first came out to Hollywood, and I was growing up, and probably like most of you, especially in a Christian atmosphere, and the world was my enemy. Matter of fact, when you come down and got saved, they used to say, you know, you got to come out of the world. Which later on, when I was reading the Bible, I found it very interesting that Jesus said, go ye into the world. Go ye into the world. They were telling us, you got to get away from them. They're your enemies. Got to get away from them. And we hated what we considered people of the world. You see, we came to Hollywood, and I think Sherry will remember this, and we really thought we had got out of the ministry, Sherry. Not knowing, we just went in a totally different aspect of it. And what I found out, especially around celebrities, because when they found out I was a preacher, they all wanted to talk to us, to Sherry and I. And what I found out was they didn't hate God. They hated preachers that represented God and couldn't show them anything. I guess that's why we became like counselors to the celebrities. Because all of a sudden they were talking to two people that we weren't interested in building a little altar there and building a church. We were like Jesus. Jesus said, I don't want a temple. I think of the disciples. They got all antsy. They've been following Jesus, and they'd seen all these miracles work and all that stuff, and they were all excited, and they felt like that he was holding them back. And they came to him and said, man, we're ready. We're ready to preach. We're ready to go out and heal the sick and cast out devils and raise the dead and all. Just like you, we're ready. So Jesus said, okay. All right, I'm going to send you out 2 by 2 because you're going to need each other's support. So now, here's what I want you to do. Don't take a map. Don't take another set of clothes. Don't take any money. Leave your money right here. Now, doesn't that sound kind of crazy? They're going to go all this, and he's telling them, what he was telling them with, don't take a script or a map, is don't worry about where you're going to go, just go. And the clothes, don't worry about your provisions, because the God in you will provide. And don't worry about your money, because God is going to bless you and is going to give you the needs that you have. They came back later on. Hallelujah.
You're done.
What time is it?
12:32.
I didn't come on here till like...
3 minutes after.
Well, all right. I'm going to take another 5 minutes.
Okay.
I got to wrap this up. Anyhow, that's how God is with you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What I'm just now getting to the message I want to give you, and that is fear is the main weapon that you battle against. Fear. Winston Churchill declared in I guess, his most famous speech, and I think one of the greatest words that have ever been given, and that is, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Nothing to be afraid of except for fear itself. Most people are walking under a deception because they're walking according to circumstances and by the way things appear instead of what the God in them says. If you would just realize the full potential of knowing who you are and what God in you is, you would never, listen to me, you would never be in poverty again. Someone said, well, what about Lazarus? What about Job? What about these other poor people in the Bible? Well, let's look at Lazarus. I won't go through all the others today, but just look at Lazarus. If you read the story about Lazarus without trying to find an excuse for your poverty, you'll find that he desired the crumbs off the rich man's table. That was his desire, Sherry, was the crumbs off the... I'll read it to you. Luke 16:20. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. There it is. So what did God do? God gave him his desire. Well, why didn't God give him a bunch more? Because that was Lazarus's mentality and consciousness at that moment, was just to be desire the crumbs off the rich man's table. God can only give us what we desire. Think about it. No more, no less. Just what you desire. Well, I guess I can't go any further. I gave him all the little notes I made of myself this week, and then just gave him the start of this message. So we'll start on this message next week. We're so happy we're so happy with being back, and well, I don't know why back. We're here every Sunday, but sure, it just feels like that we haven't spoke to him in quite a while, and it's just been a week like it usually is.
We were supposed to be in California this week, but
yes, we were.
Because of the COVID, everything got canceled. And
that's right. That's right. But I'm not afraid.
No, so
I'm not afraid.
And we got to go to Jerry's service. So
yes, well, we probably would have went to that anyway, but I don't know because we had a fundraiser we had to do there. But life is what you want, what you make out of it. If you want a good life, make it good. The desires are in your heart. You have the tools, but you're going to have to do it. If you're going to lay on the sidelines and wait for God to come and do something, it probably isn't going to happen because his throne is inside of you. Heavenly Father, I thank you. I thank you for these people that I love so much and that Sherry loves so much. And I thank you for the touch in the lives of the people that we have mentioned this morning and those that we haven't mentioned. Everyone listening to us, let them feel the presence of God in them for their healing, for their blessing, for their joy. Now I'll give you all the praise. Amen. Before we go, I do want to thank everyone, and Sherry, it was surprising. I want to thank everyone that contributed to, I don't even know if I say the burial of your mother. Oh, I think most of them that sent us cards and letters said this is because of how she had touched them in their life. And I told you when we first started, people were going, we want to send a gift, and we were going, well, we've got it taken care of until I guess the God in me went, you know what? Why are you doing that? These people want their blessing. They want to show their love and their affection to Polly McFadden, and they did. And they did. So, we're going to be back next week. God love you. Sherry loves you.
Good morning, Kathy and Bob Henry.
Kathy and Bob Henry. I talked to them, actually, I think on my birthday. They called me.
It was Craig Lloydgren. I'm sorry I got your name wrong the first time.
That's who I said the first time. Yes.
Oh, was
Now, is he from Rockford or Peoria? I think
he's from Peoria.
Yeah, Peoria, yeah. Yeah, he's one of my homies there in Peoria. Anyway, I don't know why Sherry ever questions me.
Sharon Stein. Are you on Zelle? No, but I do have Venmo.
Okay, that's another thing we need to talk about.
I'll have to, I can get Zelle maybe. I don't know. I'll have to try it.
Well, we're trying to figure out because we've had, all of a sudden this, especially in the last week, we've had messages, several messages from people that want to contribute to this program. And we're trying to figure out how we can somehow put that on there or just put on a post at the beginning of the program. But we're trying to figure it out. Believe me, we are trying to figure it out. And the other thing we're working on is Sherry and I, Sherry more than I, wants to have a podcast.
They would love hearing us banter and you hide nothing from, I hide nothing from them, so you know what?
Well, there's some things I want you to hide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but so we're trying. I'm going to make a few phone calls to people I know that have successful podcasts and find out how, from what I understand, Facebook doesn't control that. And I would really like that because they're always sending me warnings and all that kind of stuff, and I really don't care. But it wouldn't be just this message. It would be really about Bill and Sherry with the thoughts that we give out on our program. Anyhow, we've got to go. God love you. We'll see you next week.